So here it is, my purple iPhone 11. It's 2025. And this phone, well, it's seen a few things. It's not my main phone anymore. I'll be honest about that. It mostly sits here on my desk, a trusty backup for when my main phone is charging or for review purposes just like this. But I've been putting it through its paces lately, especially because I just put a brand new battery in it. We're at a perfect 100% health, and I've loaded it up with the latest iOS 26 public beta 2. And that brings up the big question, the one I get asked all the time. Is the iPhone 11 still worth it in 2025? It's a question that's surprisingly complicated. So in this video, we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about what it's really like using this phone today. We'll look at the design and that LCD display and how they feel 6 years on. We'll talk about performance, and I have some interesting Geekbench scores to share and how it handles this brand new demanding iOS 26 update. We'll look at the cameras, the battery life with this new cell, and of course we have to talk about the software and the big situation, Apple Intelligence. Finally, we'll cover the downsides you absolutely need to know, and I'll give you my honest verdict on who should buy this, who should keep it, and who should probably upgrade. So if you're thinking about picking one of these up, or you're still rocking one yourself, stick around. This is for you. But before we get into it, I think it's important to remember why this phone was such a big deal back in 2019. It was not the Pro model, but in many ways it was the star of the show. Apple did something really smart. They dropped the price to $699, making it cheaper than the iPhone XR, which was a huge move. And for that price, you got the A13 Bionic chip. This wasn't a cut-down processor, it was the absolute fastest mobile chip in the world at the time. Period. Some reviews said it wiped the floor with the competition. This chip is the #1 reason we can even have this conversation in 2025. It was built with so much headroom for the future. And then there were the cameras. This was the first non-Pro iPhone to get a dual camera system, adding that ultra-wide lens that everyone wanted. But the real magic was software. This was the debut of night mode, and it was, a complete game changer. It dramatically brightened up dark photos and finally brought the iPhone's low light performance up to par with the best out there, and the video quality was and still is just fantastic. That combination of a lower price, a top-tier chip, and a huge camera upgrade created this perfect storm of value that has given this phone an incredibly long life. Okay, so holding it in 2025, it feels both classic and, well, a bit dated. I love this purple color, it's held up beautifully, and honestly, these rounded aluminum sides feel really comfortable in the hand, maybe even more so than the sharp, flat edges of the newer iPhones. But it is noticeably wider and heavier than a modern phone with the same screen size, and the bezels around the screen are definitely prominent. And that screen, it's a 6.1-inch liquid retina LCD. Back in 2019, it was called one of the best LCDs ever made, and the color accuracy is still really good. But in a world of OLEDs, you notice the difference. The blacks aren't truly black, they're more of a dark gray, and the resolution is 1792 by 828, which is below full HD. For watching videos or just scrolling through social media, it's perfectly fine. But if you're coming from a newer phone or you really care about having the sharpest text and the most vibrant display, this is probably the single biggest area where the iPhone 11 shows its age. Now, performance, this is where things get really interesting. For basic everyday stuff, texting, scrolling, Instagram, listening to music, it's fine, it feels smooth enough, and to put some numbers on it, I ran Geekbench 6. I got a single core score of 16xID8 and a multi-core of 3984. What's wild is that the average for this phone on Geekbench is around 1708 for single core and 3676 for multi-core, so my single core is right on the money. But the multi-core is actually a bit higher than average. That new battery is definitely letting the A13 stretch its legs. But, and this is a big but, those numbers don't tell the whole story. My experience, especially on iOS 26, is that this phone is working hard. The new UI is gorgeous, it's more polished, Apple did a great job. But you can feel the A13 chip and it's 4GB of RAM straining to keep up. When I start multitasking, jumping between Safari with a few tabs, Twitter, Instagram, and maybe a light game, this phone gets warm, not just a little warm. Sometimes it gets genuinely hot. It's a night and day difference compared to my newer iPhones like my 13, 14, or 16. It feels like the phone is giving its all just to run the modern OS. and when you ask for more, it starts to sweat. This seems to be a common experience, with lots of users on forums reporting heat and lag on newer iOS versions. The chip is still powerful, but it just wasn't designed to run this level of software this efficiently, so it generates more heat, which then causes it to slow down to protect itself. With a brand new 100% health battery life is honestly pretty great. It reminds me of what this phone was like out of the box. I can easily get through a full day of moderate use without any anxiety. Apple originally rated it for up to 17 hours of video playback, and with a fresh cell that feels achievable again. But let me be crystal clear, if you buy a used iPhone 11, you must check the battery health. Anything less than 85% and you're going to have a bad time, and you'll probably be charging it more than once a day. Budgeting for a battery replacement is almost a requirement to make this phone viable in 2025. The cameras are, in my opinion, one of the most impressive parts of the iPhone 11 story. In good light, the main and ultra-wide cameras still take fantastic photos. They're sharp, the colors are natural thanks to Smart HDR, and they are more than good enough for Instagram or any social media. Honestly, they hold up better than a lot of brand new budget Android phones today, and video still top notch. 4K at 60 FPS from 2019 is still excellent 4K at 60 FPS in 2025. But low light is where you see the divide. The main camera with its night mode can still pull out some surprisingly decent shots, but the ultra wide lens in the dark, it's a different story. The images get really soft and mushy as the noise reduction kicks in hard, and you'll definitely notice more lens flare on night shots compared to modern iPhones with their more advanced lens coatings. Running iOS 26, the phone looks modern. Apple's done a fantastic job with the new customization options. The redesigned control center, it feels fresh and polished. You get almost the exact same user interface as a brand new iPhone 16, but you don't get all the features. The iPhone 11 does not support Apple Intelligence. For me, honestly, this isn't a deal breaker right now. You know, Apple Intelligence is still in its early days, it's basically a beta. And for the heavy lifting, I usually turn to more powerful alternatives, like ChatGPT or Gemini anyway, which I can just use through their apps. So am I missing out? Yes, on some integrated convenience. Is it a reason to upgrade today? For me, no. But it is the clearest sign yet of where Apple is drawing the line for its older hardware, and it's a new kind of obsolescence. It's not just about losing updates anymore, it's about being locked out of the key features of the updates you do get. Okay, let's be blunt. If you're considering an iPhone 11 in 2025, here are the trade-offs you have to be okay with. 1. The display. It's an LCD, not an OLED. It's not as sharp or vibrant as any modern iPhone display. 2. Lacks of 5G. You're stuck on 4G LTE. In many places that's perfectly fine, but you won't get the top tier speeds available on modern networks. 3. Performance under pressure. As we talked about, it gets hot and can lag when you push it. It's not a multitasking powerhouse anymore. 4. The future is short. This is likely the last year it will get a major iOS feature update. You'll probably get security patches for another year or so after that, but its time in the sun is ending. And 5. The Lightning port. A small thing, but in a world that's moving to USB-C, it's just another cable to carry around. So let's bring it all together. Who should actually consider the iPhone 11 in 2025? First, for the potential buyer on a tight budget. If you're looking for the cheapest possible entry into the Apple ecosystem and you just need a phone for calls, text, social media, and taking good photos in the daytime, the iPhone 11 is still a remarkable value. If you can find one for under $200 with a healthy battery, or you're willing to pay for a replacement, it's a much better camera phone than most new Androids at that price. But you have to accept all the downsides we just talked about. Second, for the current happy iPhone 11 user. If you're already using an iPhone 11, you're happy with it, and your battery is still holding up, don't rush to upgrade, seriously. iOS 26 keeps it feeling fresh, and it still does 95% of what the new phones do for day-to-day tasks. Save your money and wait for a bigger leap in technology. But third, for the current frustrated iPhone 11 user. If you're a current user and you're feeling what I've been describing, the heat, the lag, you're frustrated by the low light photos, you want a better screen, or you need 5G, then yes, it's time. Upgrading to even an iPhone 13 or 16, 17 will feel like a night and day improvement across the board. For me, this purple iPhone 11 is a testament to how well Apple built this thing. The fact that it's still this capable, still this usable 6 years later is pretty remarkable. It's not the best anymore, not by a long shot, but it's far from useless. But that's just my take. I'm really curious to know what you all think. Are you still using an iPhone 11 in 2025? What's your experience been like, especially with the newer software? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, a like is always appreciated, and subscribe for more tech reviews like this one. I'll see you in the next one.